Well, welcome back, Midwest BDCers, social media friends. I am Marnese Jackson, and this is our continuous series on March Madness, meeting the Midwest BDC team. We just got off the line with Eddie Davis. Now we got a great conversation with our communications and digital marketing manager, Maggie Heiser. Oh my goodness, Maggie. We doing it today. We doing it.
We got it. We got it. It's Friday. We powering through. We here to be
March,
entertaining.
it's March Madness. Yes, March Madness. Okay, so before we get going on introducing Maggie, I wanted to tell you about the Midwest BDC. We are here in the A-State region to eliminate fossil fuels in buildings, homes, resident homes, schools before 2050. We are in the respective states of Indiana, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Ohio. And we are here to do a regional strategy to eliminate fossil fuel in buildings before 2050. Okay, that's ambitious, but we can do it. And here at the coalition, we emphasize the HIMAS principles for democratic organizing. That means lifting people up, and equipping, educating, and taking direction from communities who have been impacted by fossil fuels, and letting them lead the way. And they have the answers, and we have to just believe that. But also the climate justice principles and the environmental justice principles. So if that's not in your framework, you need to acknowledge that you may not be doing it correctly, because the answers are within the communities who have been impacted by high energy burden and environmental racism. And so Maggie Heiser, who has been with Midwest BDC since 2022 as our communications and digital marketing manager, we're going to welcome her in as she talks about herself and the communication things that she would like to see here at Midwest BDC. So Maggie, come on in and introduce yourself. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Awesome. Thank you, Marnese. Thank you for the intro. So as Marnese said, my name's Maggie Heiser. I am the communications and digital marketing manager here with Midwest BDC. I've been part of the team since 2022, which feels crazy because it's like 2 years ago. Now that's 2024, but I guess that's how long it's been. So been with the team since then. I'm based out of Columbus, Ohio. So kind of, close to the heart of our Midwest region. I grew up in Ohio, been here my whole life. So I feel like a real Midwestern girl at heart. And I remember that was one of the things, even when I just saw the job posting and applied and was like, wait, I'm so, passionate about even just this region of the US, I feel super tied to it. So I was like, okay, another reason why I'm interested to see what this coalition's got going on, what they doing.
Yes, Maggie. And as I said before, Maggie is definitely instrumental on the back end, again, our communication pieces, our graphic design. And you need that in a coalition. I mean, because, without that, who's going to do all the communicating with members? In a crafty, savvy type of way. So how did you get into communications, and what is exciting about communications?
Yeah, it was actually kind of a really random path. So I went to college at Denison University, which is in Granville, Ohio. And I came in and I was like, I want to go to college. I want to get a degree, but I don't know in what. So I took a couple of classes and different things. And I had always been, pretty artistic, into writing, into art, into like movies and stuff like that. And so I took this class that was all about essentially like film and communications. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I like movies. Oh, I have to watch movies as homework. Like, that's fine. I can do that. I like college. So I did that. And then I actually really loved the professor and really liked communications. And our program at Denison was really kind of focused on, it wasn't as much of like the marketing and stuff, that like those more like day-to-day tasks, but it was really based on like, how is our world and our society and our culture like made up of these things? Like, how is that constructed around us? So you maybe go to the store and think, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go to the store, I'm gonna buy whatever I need and then go home. But like, there are all these factors at play, kind of like pushing you in certain directions, like dictating your time and attention in certain ways. And I thought that was super interesting and almost this kind of like psychology in the background. And I was like, wait a minute. So if I'm going to live in this world and all these things are going to have an influence on me, I got to be aware of that. Like, I want to know what's going on. And so that's kind of how I got into the whole communications thing. And graduated from Denison, knew that I wanted to ideally work in an environmental field. And so had done a couple other environmentalism kind of jobs with communications, and then saw this job posting. I had no idea what decarbonization was. That was a big 3-syllable word that I was not aware of until I applied, learned more about it. And then I thought, oh, this is totally something I can get behind, and I want to use my kind of skills and passions and interests for.
Thank you so much, Maggie, because, you know, I feel like when you're doing communications, you can pretty much work in any type of field. But it's like, you know, with building decarbonization, it's so specific. It can be daunting. You know, we have to make it, you know, sexy, because it's not one of those fields within the climate movement or sectors in the climate movement that's like awesome. A lot of people want to talk about water quality, of course, outdoor air quality. But for you, what has been difficult, or your favorite approach to you know, communicating about building decarbonization, like with the technical topics? What, like, bringing your flavor in, what has been, you know, your way of doing that to approach this?
No, totally. I think that's such a good point too, that like so much of our kind of like climate change work and environmental work, it's really focused on the things we interact with every day and the things that are really visible. So it's like, okay, if you're walking outside and you see a bunch of litter or trash or like a big polluting facility that's being built in your neighborhood, that's something that's really easy to kind of get people to rally around and be like, okay, look, like we can all see this, we can all feel the impacts right away. We got to do something about that. And I think you make a really good point that building decarb isn't really that way. We've even talked about it internally with like even just other kind of like aspects of building decarbonization. Like you can get solar panels on your home or on your place of worship or your school, and everyone in the community can see that and be like, okay, cool. Like you guys are doing something, you guys are investing in renewable resources. That's awesome. People aren't going to see like the water heater in your home, or they're not going to see the insulation or the weatherization updates that you're doing on your home that are, you know, benefiting you in the same way that something like solar panels would, but they're just not visible. So I feel like that definitely is a challenge with communicating about building decarb specifically. But I feel like I've found that it's almost just like the more we talk to people in our coalition, so either people in our working groups or people who have been impacted by the work we're doing, maybe the funding program or maybe some of our events, everybody has a story about how decarbonization or how Midwest BDC has impacted their lives in a tangible way. So whether it's like, I think a big one for a lot of us is my utility bills went down. That's super tangible. That's like money in the bank, money that you can spend on other things in your life. Or, you know, it might not be as obvious to everybody else, but like my home is much more comfortable temperature wise, or even I was able to switch to maybe a different type of stove that isn't polluting the air in my home, making the indoor air quality super bad. So I feel like it's almost just like a slower process with communicating about building decarb, because you have to like tease out those stories. You have to figure out like, what did this impact have on your life? And then how can I share that with others when it's not something that's super just like visible outside? Or, you know, we can all get behind like plant more trees, they're pretty, but getting people behind install like maybe a heat pump in your home or weatherize your home is not as sexy as some of those other things. So it's definitely, it can be a challenge, but it has such a real life impact that I think once you share that impact, almost anyone can get behind it and be like, oh, okay, I get it now. I hear where you're coming from.
And you know what? What's not sexy is those high utility rates or those utility shutoffs. That's not sexy. So, and you know,
Exactly.
you know, when I'm leading with talking about building decarbonization, because I know it's huge and it's not reachable to a lot of people, not just communities that we think will not grasp the concept. No, building decarbonization is a huge word, right? And I always start off with, you know, did you have a parent that said you do not pay on these utility bills, do not touch my thermostat? Now, if you didn't have a parent like that, y'all just got it like that, because I know I had parents who not touch that thermostat.
Oh,
You do not
same.
pay no bills around here. And that's the same language I use with my kids, London and Dawson, because they know DTE they experience the shutoffs, and I'm like, this is the reason why. And so you have to start that with the basic communications. Okay, you don't like these high utility bills, you don't like getting shut off. Okay, then I'll go into leading into the climate impacts, and then what you got to do. It's all about, meeting people where they are. And so with that, since you've been here, and building decarbonization isn't so sexy, like what is different with Midwest BDC than any other groups doing this work, or the job that you have had?
Yeah, I think, well, I could talk about this for 20 minutes by itself, but I think a lot of it is that being part of Midwest BDC from kind of like that beginning stage where, I mean, we're still like a new startup, but now we are a nonprofit. I've gone through that transition with Marnese and like with the rest of the team. There was, I think something really unique about our work is there's so much trust, and I guess it really kind of does come down to trust for me, given to our staff, given to our coalition members. It's like the Jimenez principles that you were hitting at the top of the podcast, Marnese, where it's like, we trust people to do the work. And I think I got that a lot from you. I'm like a younger person in my career. I had struggled at other jobs and organizations and stuff, thinking like, okay, I got ideas. I want to try things out. I want to like maybe push some boundaries and try something new. And sometimes that can just be really hard when you have like, these are the ways we do things and this is how it goes. But I think there's a lot of freedom within our work here to try things out, maybe try things that other people haven't done. Maybe they haven't been brave enough to do it, or it's just been hard. And I feel like we've learned just so much within our organization. I feel like I've learned so much about myself and like the work I want to be doing, just with that trust that we give to each other as like teammates on staff. But I think a lot of that also goes with just our structure of like our working groups, and having working group leaders come in and being like, all right, you guys are living this. We don't need to be having our hands in everything. We don't need to be overseeing everything. Like, you're a leader, be a leader. And people step up to the plate every time and do it so well. And so I think that's just been something that I've really enjoyed about Midwest BDC. And I see it a lot in other places where we kind of get bogged down in structures sometimes. You need some structure, don't get me wrong, you need it. But I think we really just trust each other to do the work and do the work well. And it really shows in the results that we're able to get.
Yeah, I totally agree. We definitely have to, meet people where they are, and understand and really communicate, hey, you are leaders. Yeah, we do need to have structure so we can coexist with each other. But then once we get that all tight, for those who haven't started a nonprofit before, working with all types of people, because I have to say Midwest BDC is a membership organization. Like, there's not one type of organization or individual within our coalition. We have a lot that's coming in to do this work. Jacob hinted to it yesterday, the peanut butter and jelly, like, it's, meshing all individuals and organizations together to do the work, and so we can coexist to, get the broader mission. But for you, Maggie, I wanted to know what has been like your favorite project that you have worked on communication wise since you've been here?
Oh, I love that question. I feel like I've kind of got two answers. So the first one, was it in the fall? We had a youth podcast series. So really similar to like this format. We used the same streaming stuff. And we really focused, it was with collaboration with the youth working group of Midwest BDC. So the working group really kind of like took over that structuring of these podcast episodes. We had one on indoor air quality, one on green building careers, and then one on climate change kind of in general. And the people we talked to in that podcast series were just so inspiring and amazing. And I feel like that kind of bleeds into my larger answer of just like getting to work with so many cool people that I would not otherwise get to meet or get to know. And I think we also, so like Marnese said, we're a regional organization. And since we're all over, like I'm in Ohio, Marnese is in Michigan, and we all work from home. And so I remember even thinking like, when I applied to this job, okay, is that something I want to do? I love meeting people and talking to people and just learning, from others. And I'm gonna be working from home. Is that gonna feel isolating? And I think because we do so many cool events where we bring in people that are just super inspiring and I get to know them, even if it's just for like the hour-long conversation, it's always super cool. And so I loved those podcast series, and you can find them on our website if you're interested in checking them out. And then my other favorite project that I've done, really more comms focused, but this is probably in January or so, we launched a new website that I got to kind of build from the ground up. And that was just really fun. I think that kind of points back to what I was saying earlier about having the trust of the Midwest BDC team in me to put that together, get it up and running, learn some like coding stuff on the back end that I did not know how to do. And it was a little overwhelming at times, but I'm really happy with how that website turned out. And I think it was just really fun to be able to have this big project and be like, okay, Maggie, we trust you to figure it out, make it pretty, make it work. And I did it. And it was just really fun. It was really fun to see that process all the way through, just as its own project. So probably those two, I would say.
Yeah, I like where we can all work and we bring our own skill sets in an entrepreneurial way that you're not like, I know we all have experienced jobs where they just tell you what to do, and you have no room to grow. So yeah, I'm glad, I can like, hey Maggie, I don't like that right there, but
Yeah.
switch it up. We'll play around with it because, or I'll play around it with it. So I'm glad you feel, safe and comfortable to just go ahead and fly with it because quite honestly, I don't have time to do all that.
No,
So
exactly. And that's that collaboration. That's so good too. I think like that's also one of the benefits about just our team. And I think that's what makes our working culture really sustainable too, is that we have that relationship with each other where Marnese can be like, girl, I don't like that picture. Why'd you put that picture up there of me? And I'm like, okay, heard. Let's switch it up. So I think that's just like, it's perfect collaboration for communication, stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's and you guys all have to check out the toolkits and all the flyers that Maggie has done. She's like the brainchild behind all the communication stuff. So as a resource, we do have, provide technical assistance in regards to if you need Maggie to assist you with the flyer or anything of that nature, she will assist you with that. She does have office hours, okay?
Yes, find them on the website.
You can find those on the website because she's very busy. And then also, Maggie, I wanted to know, you've been here since we got the coalition structured. And I wanted to know, like, what is your big dream to see the coalition in 5 to 10 years? Let's talk about 5 years from now because 5 years comes quick.
Oh, it does. It sneaks up on you fat. That's what I was thinking when we started. I was like, wait, 2 years ago? Like 2022? That's crazy. I think so. Kind of behind the scenes here at the coalition, like right now we're staffing up a lot, which is really exciting. And I know we've talked internally about, maybe having this goal of ideally having someone in each of those 8 states working for the coalition. And so I feel like my dream version of 5 years from now is that we'd have someone in every state. And then in my role, I would get to like go out, like travel with them and then film videos, like interview people on the ground there and just kind of continue. I think we do a really good job of it even now, but continue to get out of our work from home bubbles and just like get out there, get in community. And I think it would be so cool to have like a point person in every state that we would get to travel to go meet up with maybe once a month, just like see what's happening on the ground. And then I would love to do video series about that. Maybe a blog series, maybe these podcasts, like continuing to just like put out that information, I think would be awesome. And I'd love to do it in person.
All right, Maggie. So I definitely appreciate that vision. That's actually a part of my vision too. So we all working in sync here. We all know where we want to go in the next 5 to 10 years. And communications and marketing is definitely a must, right? We're still in a virtual setting. We're going to continue to take advantage of that. And so continue to flesh out our social media presence and our podcast. I like the podcasts are fun. Like just back, like low key, we were at a staff meeting today. I'm looking like this staff meeting is long. For why is the staff meeting so long? And we all were in hoodies. I was like, y'all, we got to pull it together.
We can do it.
Do this has been a long week for us. But Maggie, tell us about outside of work. What do you like to do?
Yes. No, it's a good question. I think this also, I'll do one more plug for working in Midwest BDC. I feel like we are a sustainable organization because we can be people first and work not even second, but like in tandem. We are people and we can work at the same time. So I love this question. I always just appreciate when we don't have to be super like work mode, 9 to 5 only. I feel like we all know that we're people and that is okay and that's normal. Like, I just think that's special because it's not like that everywhere. So I feel like outside of my working time, I'm a runner. I really am happy that it's getting a little bit warmer out. So I like to kind of work out, spend time outside running. I'm going to be planting a garden this year. So I'm really excited about that. I'm ready to just like essentially sit on my back porch in the summer every night and enjoy everything going on outside. So love all that stuff. Not too. I have a cat. Marnese sees her on my calls often because I'm surprised she's actually chilling right now. She's sleeping, but she loves to jump up on the desk. So all that good stuff. Like to be outside, but nothing too crazy.
We're cat people. Lois don't like to do all that. Lois just be don't bother me type of cat. She's for real, don't bother me. But then when me, London, and Dawson, when we're all together, here she come. Like, y'all not gonna forget about me in this conversation.
Oh, that's exactly how she is. I'll be on a call and I'll be quiet. I'll just like be not talking for 10 minutes. As soon as I open my mouth, she walks in the door there, like screaming her little cat head off. And I'm like, girl, why now? Like, we just had 20 minutes and you didn't care. But of course, as soon as I start talking, now you gotta talk.
Okay, Lois. All right. So, yes, Maggie, thank you so much for being a part of the team. Make the team thrive and shine and glitter with all the stuff that you are doing. And so, I wanted to thank you for being here. We're going to definitely continue to lift Maggie up, with our staff highlights. And you can also follow us on MidwestBDC.org. Thank you, Maggie, for getting that going.
Yes. Yeah, check out the website.
But coming up next week, we have our Director of Operations, Terry Cush, and Administrative Associate. Yeah, get it together, Marnese. Dana Gibson, who will be here next week coming up, talking about how they are a part of the team and how they're making the team come together. And then also coming up next week, we have our climate anxiety and mental health webinar training. On March 28th, you can visit Midwest BDC /events where you can come in and see that webinar. And all of our webinars and trainings are on our YouTube channel. So follow us on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on X. And we're also on LinkedIn. Our LinkedIn be popping. And I don't even understand why LinkedIn. It's like I'm actually on LinkedIn now. Like, dang, LinkedIn is
through.
So we get more traction on LinkedIn. And so you can always sign up for our emails and become a member of Midwest BDC by coming to one of our orientations, and we'll get you signed up and you can get plugged in. So we'll see you next week, next time. And thanks so much for tuning in into our Midwest BDC March Madness podcast series. Thank you, Marnese, and have a wonderful